Hello, and welcome back to week 3 of Parentification of Children in Grieving Families. I hope this video finds you all doing well. Today we are going to review content from last week. Then we will go over this week's content, both from the reading and the video. And finally, we will go over the assignment, which is due next week, and that is Parentification in Movies. All right, let's get started. Last week, we were introduced to the two different types of parentification. First is the instrumental type, which involves the child executing the physical acts that are normally managed by a parent or guardian. And let's go over this real quick. This can include things such as shopping, grooming, if they're old enough for working papers, working outside the home, and preparing meals. As I say it in my head, I hear myself even questioning, but isn't that good parenting, raising your child to be responsible? Well, let me clarify. This is not age-appropriate chores that teach life skills. For example, a 3 to 5-year-old helping to put their clothes away, putting their own toys away, that's age-appropriate. A 6 to 10-year-old feeding the family pet, helping with the dishes, maybe putting the dishes away, helping to empty the dishwasher, maybe even helping to cook. That would be age appropriate and teaching both responsibility and good life skills. Parentification is above and beyond that. It would be that 3 to 5-year-old cleaning the bathroom, cleaning the toilet, having to do the dishes. It would be that 6 to 10-year-old having to make meals, being responsible for what to cook, how to cook, getting it on the table, and feeding the family. It would be doing tasks around the house. Something needs a repair. It would be, a child who would not normally be expected to do that, not only to help, but to do it by themselves. So this is definitely, age comes into play here, but it is above and beyond teaching positive life skills. All right, the second type is the emotional type. This is the child taking on the task of emotionally supporting their parent or guardian or soothing their parent through a crisis. This is not a child giving a parent a hug when they realize that they're sad or they're upset about something. That's short-lived. That's a one-time, on occasion kind of a thing. This parentification is the long-term supporting of a parent. And let's give some concrete examples here. It is typically through a crisis, and parentification usually occurs because a child realizes that there is a void. So if the parent experiences the loss of a job, they are so involved in that loss that they cannot see the next steps, which is going out and looking for a job, which is, getting their resume together. And they're so upset, they're so distraught. The child sees that, and the child offers their support. Again, this is not short term, this is long term. This goes on for weeks or months. It would be the death, as we're talking about in this class, it would be the death of someone close, parent, grandparent, child, sibling, and the parent is so emotionally distraught that they not only cannot support the child, but they cannot support themselves. The child steps up and winds up supporting the parent. This often happens through divorce. You'll hear a parent say, "Why do you want to be with the other parent? Why don't you love me? What do you do with them that you can't or won't do with me? Why do you do that?" These are parental adult issues that a child should not be involved in, especially through divorce that occurs often. All right, just a quick overview. The balance of that is all in your reading. It was an excellent choice of readings, and refer back to them if you need clarification on that, please. So as we move forward, The Lost Childhoods, The Plight of the Parentified Child, excellent book. The assignment this week was to read chapters 4, 5, and 6. In chapter 4, Evaluating Childhood Parentification, the IDC model, this week it was reviewing parentification, in 3 stages. So first we have the identification of parentification. In children, this can show up as excessive compliance. It can show up as perfectionism, most definitely, social isolation, and an over-involvement of peer problems. This is the child acting as a parent toward their peers. So they realize that their peers have issues. They not only listen and are supportive, but they wind up parenting their peers, their friends, trying to resolve those issues. Parentification shows up in children as sadness, extreme fatigue and worry, and often anxiety, just to name a few. The next step of identification of parentification is to describe the child's behavior. We review their overtness, the type of parentification that they're experiencing, the extent of the parentification, and finally, who is the object? Who is this child caring for? The final stage is to contextualize the parentification, meaning to understand the parentification and its significance at the different levels: developmental, psychological, socio-familial, ethical, and consequential. All right, that wraps up chapter 4. As we move on into chapter 5, treating destructively parentified children and their families, a systemic and ethical perspectives. This is broken down into treatment into 8 different steps. First, we have joining with the family. This is bringing the family all in and understanding where they are currently, what role each family member plays. The next step would be addressing the parentification process. How did this child get to this stage of parentification? What occurred that prompted the parentification of this child? Next is negotiating emergent problems. How is this child outwardly expressing their parentification? What is it that their behavior is telling us? How are they showing this? Fourth would be restoring parental accountability. This can often be difficult. We need the parents' buy-in on this one. We need them to say, yes, this is occurring, and yes, I'm on board to taking corrective actions. Step 5 would be empowering the parentified child. I find this step to be very very encouraging. It's beautiful to just see the child being given permission to acknowledge the parentification and say, yeah, this happened, and yes, this isn't helping me, and yes, this is the cause of some of my behavior. And it's empowering them to say that they want this corrected. Now, age appropriate. It depends on what age we're treating. Step 6, is helping the family members grieve their losses. This is an interesting step. Let's not forget that in this process, the parent will be grieving as well. In parentification of children, the parent takes on a different role, a less parental role, and they've gotten accustomed to that new role. So they now have to go back and be held accountable and go back into the role of parent with more responsibilities. So that parent will be grieving the loss of their lesser involvement. Okay, so it's a play on words, or it's a mix of words there, and you really need to follow it through. But the parent will be grieving their loss as well as the child grieving the loss of part of their childhood. Step 7 is fostering new relational possibilities, and that is, how are we going to move forward? Let's support this child and how they are now going to let go of some of that responsibility. They're going to engage with the adults in their world in a different manner, and we're going to build that village for that child so that they understand If we catch them early enough, they are going to preserve what's left of their childhood. If they're caught as an adult and we are working backwards, we are going to allow them time to relive and experience some childhood events and stages that they missed out on. Step 8, the final step, is facilitating the child's socio-emotional growth. Again, this is about building new relationships and moving forward. That is the end of chapter 5. As we move on into chapter 6, it is breaking the deadlock, the case of Jamie. This is a case study. I encourage you to, if you've already read it, just review it. If you haven't read it, please do so, and then have an open discussion with your cohort. Excellent chapter there. As we move on to the video, this is a video by Barbara Heffernan. It is The Parentified Child, 6 Steps to Heal if you were parentified as a child. So this is, she's looking at it through the eyes of the adult who was parentified. Parentified child, as she states very early on in the video, grows up often to be very, very successful. However, they are dissatisfied with their own life. They have poor relationships. They definitely experience trust issues and often have quite a low self-esteem. It may not show on the outside, but that's what they're feeling internally. It is important to say that this does not just happen in their intimate life and their intimate relationships. It also happens in their professional relationships. These 6 steps of healing is to understand the parentification means through the child's eye. So again, she's looking at it through the adult, but it means to go back and acknowledge how they were parentified as a child and see it through the child's eye, not as the current adult. It is to acknowledge habitual patterns. Typically, those are negative patterns, to acknowledge them, and then to set different patterns, to practice new and healthier patterns. 4th step is to understand boundaries. This is being able to say no, enjoying saying yes, but understanding what is healthy for the individual. Step 5 is a deep self-knowledge and understanding one's own emotions and being able to express those to others, which typically is not done through parentification. And then step 6 is grieving the lost child. The adult, the parentified child as an adult, needs to step back and grieve the loss of their childhood. This is an excellent introduction into the healing of parentification and offers the clinician tools to practice immediately, in their own practice. Now, let's move on. If you don't mind, I'm going to open up some of my tabs here. Okay. Parentification in movies. I really enjoy this assignment. And what it is, it's reviewing a movie or media. It can be a show. I'm going to give you 3 examples of parentification in movies. So my first example is Ginny and Georgia, which is a 2021 Netflix drama series. Georgia is a young, very young parent. She has Ginny, daughter, and it's a story about them growing up. They grow up together because Georgia is such a young mother that they grow up together. In that, Ginny is parentified. Later, she has a son. I cannot recall the son's name off the top of my head. But it is about Georgia parentifying Ginny because she doesn't understand how to be a parent. She was such a young mother. You see both instrumental and emotional. Georgia depends on Ginny to support her through relationships, through job seeking, through ex-husband issues or ex-relationship issues. Not quite sure if they were married. And the instrumental is helping to raise the younger brother. Excellent depiction, 2021, very modern, up to date. The next one is a 1993 movie, What's Eating Gilbert Grape. Love this movie. If you haven't seen it, I suggest that you do. It is just under 2 hours. It is a PG-13 film. And it is Leonardo DiCaprio being the younger. It's a family of four with a girlfriend. Leonardo DiCaprio is the youngest, the younger brother. I believe there's a sister in there. Johnny Depp plays the older brother. He is the parentified young adult. I believe he's depicted to be late teens, early 20s in this. Darlene Cates plays mom. She's excellent. The issues include not only Leonardo DiCaprio's handicaps, he is, I don't know if they identified exactly what he's diagnosed with, but he has learning disabilities. The mother herself is obese to the point where she is bedbound. She's homebound, bedbound. I think one time in the movie she makes it upstairs. In addition to Johnny Depp being parentified, he has to do the bathing, the cooking, the shopping, the educating of both the sister and the brother. But he is their emotional support. He not only supports the two siblings that he has, but he also supports his mother. And then we add on top of that, that the town understand what's going on behind closed walls. The family is embarrassed by mom's obesity and mom's health issues, and then also a little bit about Leonardo DiCaprio's learning disabilities. In the end, Johnny Depp makes an excruciating decision. He saves his family, but he has to make a devastating decision to save face in front of the town. Excellent, excellent movie. If you haven't seen it, please do so. Parentification is riddled throughout the movie. Finally, I wanted to go over, let's look at how parentification shows up in our children's movies, because it most certainly does. I went back to 2013 with the movie Frozen. This is about an hour and 40 minutes. It is a PG movie. It is a Disney movie. It is Elsa and Anna are sisters. They grow up in a kingdom, but they, within the first few scenes, are orphaned as their parents went out on a trip and were killed in an accident. You know, it's woe is me, right? They're in charge of a kingdom now. But the parentification shows up. They wind up raising each other. They support each other. I know it's mentioned in the movie. They have a staff, so we don't have every aspect of parentification going on here. But they are left alone. They're orphaned. So they lean on each other. As with every Disney story, there are sub-stories to it. There's the coming of age. There's a love story, of course. So really good movie. If you haven't seen it, go ahead and look at it. Parentification is happening in every avenue of our media. So my question is this, and I hope that you bring this to your reflections this week. Parentification does happen all over. Is it in the media so that we get used to it and we don't address it because it's just so widely accepted? Or is it showing us that it happens and we're resilient because the movies usually end on a happier note? Is that why it's being introduced in the media, so that we get accustomed to it? Or is it teaching us how to treat it and how to live with it? Just food for thought. I know I have my own opinions on all of that. I can't wait to hear yours. Hope to see it in your reflection. Okay, that wraps up week 3. Thank you for hanging in there with me this evening. If you need either myself or your instructor throughout the week, please feel free. Use our contact information, which is found in your syllabus. Again, parentification in movies is due next week. You may not use Ginny and Georgia, What's Eating Gilbert Grape or Frozen as your example, but I look forward to those assignments. Thank you and have a great week.